lot of options at your local nursery. So let's bring in Larry Figart here to help navigate the choices. He's an Urban Forestry Extension Agent from UFIFAS. Welcome to the show. So good to have you in person.
Thank you very much, Mike.
I just always learn so much from you. And you came prepared as always, and you brought a tree with you. Imagine this man taking a tree out of his car and then bringing it in the studio, but you did a great job getting it here. And we're talking trees this morning. How do we know how to pick the right tree?
So just a couple of things ahead of time. If you choose the right tree, it's going to establish better in the landscape. It's going to live longer.
Right.
And then also it's going to be a little more resistant to the storms that we have every year in Florida.
Oh, they're coming, all right.
Right. So just take a little time and research and pick the best tree that you can find.
Right, let's talk about that best tree. What should we look for to pick out that quality tree? And you know, I'm looking at this tree, it looks very nice. I mean, we got a nice tall looking tree here. So what should we be looking at?
So just a couple of things. Number one, and this tree has some good and bad qualities that we're going to talk about. But this is a red maple that I picked up yesterday, and so the crown of the tree looks good. So you might say, oh yeah, it's well spaced, It's got branches on all sides, the foliage is healthy, you're looking at the stem and there's no cankers or there's no disease or no breakage.
Right.
And then also probably the most important thing about this tree is it is a single trunk. We want to pick out the single trunk tree because if they have forks on them, they want to split. So a single trunk. But the downside to this poor tree is the fact that its root ball is a little too small.
Oh, I see. I wouldn't have thought of that. So we got to look all the way to where the roots are. Okay. And I see that small area there.
Right, so essentially this is a big tree and maybe it stayed in the pot a little too long, and so what happens is those roots circle around the outside of the pot and we get what's called a root bound tree, and that's similar to, this is one, a cadaver that I have it was a tree that sat in the pot too long and it probably died a year or two after it was planted. So you can see the large circling roots and you can tell exactly where the container was, the imprint of the container.
So there's a way to get the tree back to being a little healthier even if the roots have been going around in a circle? So
one of the things, and what we talk about especially with container grown trees, trees in a pot or a container, is to actually, and every tree in a container will have some amount of circling roots, would be to take something like a shovel or an old pruning saw, not a new one. You don't want to take your nice fancy pruning saw and dig it in the dirt, but just to go along with a shovel or a pruning saw and just about 1/4 of an inch in from the outside of the container, just go around, and what that does is that cuts all those circling roots that may be there, and so that when you plant it, those roots go out instead of continuing
in a circle,
to circle.
And that'll allow the tree to be healthier in its lifetime.
It establishes much quicker and it doesn't want to blow over.
All right, see, I didn't know that. Always learning from Larry here. And then share this information with your fellow DIY landscapers. The link on our website here. We know we have firstcoastliving.net, and you're always available for some calls, and you do emails. And
we have lots of folks at the office that can help. We have volunteer master gardeners that are standing by waiting on questions, and then if it gets beyond their abilities, then they ship them to us as well.
Okay, always there to help, and very good. And of course, we'll have much more on this website. We said that's firstcoastliving.net.